The UFC 4 beta dropped on Monday and many of us have been lucky enough to get our hands on it, play it and experience all the changes that the new game brings. I thought it would be a good idea to bring you guys the top 5 changes that you can expect going into UFC 4. Let's start with perhaps the most controversial and most talked about new system, submissions. The previous submission system of expanding a directional ring using the right thumbstick has existed since EA Sports UFC and has now been replaced with 2 new minigames, one for chokes and one for joint locks. They both involve each player moving their respective bars, one looking to chase and one looking to escape. Occasionally a button prompt would appear on the screen allowing you to chain into another submission, which serves only to lock in the sub faster, slamming your opponent, which escapes the current sub attempt, countering the submission and locking in your own, and throwing strikes, which again allows you to sink the submission in faster. The only problem so far with the new system is that currently it is very hard to escape chokes. As you move away from your opponent's bars, yours expands, making it easier for your opponent to chase you down again. During the UFC 3 beta, submissions were also very easy to obtain. I remember going on a 15-fight win streak via submissions just to prove a point. The speed and rate at which these mechanics occur can easily be changed by simply modifying some numeric values in the game's coding, so patching and making the necessary changes before release or even post-release will be very easy, and I expect this is something we can see happen in the near future. The clinch mechanic in the game has seen a complete overhaul. Before, the clinch was an extension of the ground game. It would be initiated and you were able to transition, deny and strike in a very similar way to how the grappling mechanics worked. Now, however, the ability to transition and deny positions in the clinch has been removed. Once a clinch begins, you're able to push and pull your opponent, throw strikes, block, attempt takedowns and submissions, or look to escape. The pace of the fight continues and it becomes much more about making quick reads on your opponent and what they're attempting to do, countering that, initiating your own offense or takedown, or looking to escape. Entering the clinch is a much smoother process, as are implementing takedowns, which have also seen a nice overhaul, adding the ability to ankle pick as well as use single and double leg takedowns, inside and outside trips, and hip tosses. It all seems very chaotic at first, but once you adjust to it, it becomes easy to do damage, shoot a takedown, or look to escape. It is a lot harder to prevent your opponent from entering the clinch, but a lot easier to get away and avoid being stuck in a position like before. You are able to transition from single, collar to tie positions, but only by throwing strikes, which initiates a temporary shift in position in order to land those strikes. You are able to rotate to the back from certain positions as well. There are a lot of changes made to the clinch and a lot of nuances to how it works. I'm sure as the community continues to get their hands on it, more and more will be discovered as we work out how this system works. The ground game has also had a bit of an overhaul in several ways. Firstly, there are a set of simplified controls that have been created for new players to help them better understand what they're able to do in each position and where they can transition, but you are easily able to enable the legacy controls and things will remain much the same as before. As with the clinch, however, there seems to have been an effort in preventing stalling by now removing the ability to deny transitions once you've decided to posture up and land damage. Now, from full guard, half guard, side control, mount and backside, you're able to posture up and throw strikes as before, but once you have committed to this, you are no longer able to transition to a new position or prevent your opponent from regaining guard in the same way you were able to previously. Once postured up and striking, your opponent must block, evade or catch your punches in order to return to a guard position and control your posture. This again prevents players from stalling fights on the ground and keeping other players locked into postured up positions. You are still able to finish fights whilst postured up, and strikes do a lot of damage if they go unanswered or block. There has just been an effort to prevent those players from keeping other players in place for an extended period of time. The speed at which you dodge strikes determines what happens when you attempt to regain guard. If you slip a strike immediately, you're even able to sweep your opponent to a better position. Aside from this, the basic grappling mechanics are the same, with some new positions and transitions implemented alongside the new ground and pound mechanics. Overall, it seems that the dev team want to prevent players from slowing down the pace of the fight and give those on the bottom a better chance to regain guard and prevent damage. However, if you are skilled at ground and pound, you will definitely be able to do the damage and end fights in these positions. It all just leads to a bit more of a fluid exchange on the ground that is a little faster paced and less robotic. Striking has seen a bit of an overhaul on the feet as well. The basic button inputs all remain the same, with takedowns being reassigned from the face buttons rather than the analog stick. Each fighter now has different animations based on their overall level of striking to better represent their ability to throw techniques. For example, Wonderboy's roundhouse to the body is a lot cleaner and smoother than, say, Nate Diaz's. Movement remains the same, but some strikes such as body kicks do not travel at such a great distance as they did before. It is slightly easier to cut off the cage and sidestep to follow your opponent, and there probably needs to be some patches and changes made to the stamina system, as even with low stamina, fighters can still move and throw with relative ease. overall the striking has been kept very much the same. More a series of tweaks and new systems or changes that have been implemented than anything else. But the new takedown animations and clinch initiations are a lot smoother and look great, and really help to blend the game from striking, clinch, grappling into a smooth MMA experience. Finally, I'll mention quickly about some of the changes made to UI, graphics, on-screen effects, and menus. The new menu is a lot cleaner and fresher. There isn't as much scrolling through things, and things appear in lists as well, so it's easy to navigate. The theme has changed to a much darker tone with bright colours that contrast nicely as previous to the white and red in UFC 3. The fighter selection screen now feels a lot more arcadey, implementing a similar system to Tekken or Street Fighter with a grid selection where you can choose your fighter. After a while you realise it is much easier to find the fighter you want and see how many fighters there are, rather than scrolling through them one at a time, even though this is kind of weird at first. There are a few on-screen effects such as red flashes and things that have been implemented when rocks and stuns occur. These are a little garish, but they can be turned off to your liking. Overall, there hasn't been much improvement in the way of graphics, 3D models and textures. This is to be expected as the game is releasing on the same consoles in the same generation. There wouldn't really be any improvement as the hardware hasn't improved and the game was already running near 30 FPS on most consoles. The real-time texture and normal maps displacements, they still look great, and some fighters have new models as they've been into the studio and been 3D scanned. There have been some complaints about this, which is pretty idiotic. It's not like the PS4 or Xbox suddenly got an upgrade to their GPU during the beta, and I'm sure things have been rendered at a lower value to help test stability across the board. These things can easily be increased if there's some wiggle room, but to expect any real change in graphics is just not realistic. And there you have it, the 5 biggest changes going into UFC 4 from UFC 3. Now bear in mind all these changes are still in the beta, so the whole point of the beta is to kind of gauge where the community's at and get some feedback from the players who are able to get their hands on it. I'm sure many of these systems will be tweaked, and if we can look at UFC 3, that was tweaked massively from its initial release. So as long as we keep giving feedback to the devs, we should keep getting the changes that we want. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please keep your eye out for more. I will do more content on UFC 4 on this channel, as well as on my Twitch stream. Link in the description. I stream every single day there. It's a good time. Also, quick shout out to the ESFL, the Esports Fight League, a league that I'm a big part of, commentate for. We have the best fighters in the world competing in the UFC 3 and now 4 video games, so come on by there. We stream on Twitch. There'll be 2 or 3 streams a week with championships, special events, and if you want to take part as well, jump over to the Twitch page, give them a follow and check the Discord out for more information how you can sign up and be a part. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed this video. Have a good day, and I'll see you in UFC 4.